Hello and welcome to Dota for Noobs. In this video we will be going over some of the fundamentals of the game. I will be doing a general overview of the heroes as well as basic gameplay and game functions. Once again, this will be a companion video, so you can pause the video here so that you can open up your game until you reach the main screen similar to what you see here. Let's start with the heroes. Each team is composed of 5 players who select one hero each. The heroes you select very often can determine what your team strategy should be, or even just your strategy for the game. Like we showed in our previous video, click the Heroes tab at the top, and you should come to this screen here. As you can see, the heroes are split into 3 main sections: Strength, Agility, and Intelligence. This categorization is by a hero's primary attribute. Every point to a hero's primary attribute adds 1 point of damage to their attack. Generally speaking, this just means that this is the most important attribute for the hero in that category. Pretty much, in Dota, there are exceptions to almost everything, so keep that in mind as it is the case here as well. Let's go over what these attributes do. First is Strength. Every point in Strength increases your maximum health by 20 and also adds an additional 0.1 health regeneration per second. Next is Agility. Every point in Agility increases your armor by 0.17 and your attack speed by 1. Last is Intelligence. Every point in Intelligence increases your maximum mana by 12 and your mana regeneration by 0.05. Every hero gains a small amount of every attribute as they gain levels. Also, there are many items and a few skills and talents that also increase attributes. Moving on to the different types of heroes. The simplest categorization is melee versus range. Melee heroes can only attack from a very close range, usually the target having to be right next to the hero. Range heroes attack from a distance. Depending on the hero, this distance can vary significantly. Next are hero roles. The first role categorization is carry or support. These roles become more complex, but for now, we will categorize them this way. You can see what the game suggests as carry and support, but like I stated previously, there are exceptions to almost everything, so don't limit your creativity. However, I would recommend following the suggestions for the time being. Anyway, let's go over what these roles mean. A carry is someone who carries the team. Carry heroes tend to be weaker early and stronger as they gain more gold and levels. They tend to be the most important factor in winning games later on. Supports, on the other hand, focus less on getting gold and levels and more on creating opportunities for the team. Supports tend to be stronger early on without needing very many items to be effective. They tend to spend their money on items that will help the team. We will go over more items in another video, so we will move on for now. Next are the characteristic roles. These roles tend to define the type of abilities a hero has. The roles are Nuker, Disabler, Jungler, Durable, Escape, Pusher, and Initiator. Every hero has more than one of these roles, and some are better at those particular roles than others. These are the Nukers. According to the game, Nukers can quickly kill enemy heroes using high damage spells with low cooldowns. The term nuke is used to describe a spell or skill that is capable of dealing large amounts of damage, and all these heroes have at least one nuke, hence the categorization. These are Disablers. A Disabler is defined by the game as a hero who has a guaranteed disable for one or more of their spells. There are lots of different types of disables, and not all disables work the same way or do the same thing. Simply put, all the heroes in this category have one way of disabling another hero. These are the junglers. They are described as heroes who can farm effectively from neutral creeps inside the jungle early in the game. We will go over the jungle and neutral creeps in the next video, so stay tuned for that. These are the durable heroes, who are described as ones who have the ability to last longer in teamfights. This one is pretty self-explanatory. These heroes tend to be harder to kill, or have abilities that make them harder to kill because they are able to absorb more damage without dying. These are the escape heroes, who are also difficult to kill because they have an ability that allows them to escape and are described to have the ability to quickly avoid death. Escape abilities are also very different, just like disables, and all have very different mechanics. Some of these abilities are very easy to use, while others require a fair bit of skill to use properly. These are pusher heroes, who can quickly siege and destroy towers and barracks at all points of the game. Towers and barracks are the most important objectives to destroy to ultimately win the game. Towers and barracks will be explained in more detail in the next video as well. Lastly, these are the initiator heroes, who are good at starting a team fight. As you know, this is a team game. These heroes excel at starting a team fight and creating an advantage while doing so. There are many different ways to initiate team fights, and these heroes do this in many different ways, some better than others. The last thing in the Hero tab we're going to go over is the complexity button located here. This is a general idea of how difficult it is to play certain heroes. The higher the complexity, the more difficult it is to play the hero properly. You can click the corresponding diamonds to see which heroes are easier to play and which ones are more difficult. Complexity doesn't necessarily equate to heroes being better or worse than others. It just means that they may require more skill or practice to use their spells and abilities. So now we're going to load up another demo lobby to go over some more gameplay basics. This time we will select Luna. Click Demo Hero and load into a game. So this entire bottom section with all the buttons and screens is called a heads-up display, or HUD for short. Here we have your minimap, hero portrait, stats, level, talents and spells, item slots, and current gold. We also have your status effect area here. Positive status effects, commonly referred to as buffs, will be shown outlined in green, and negative ones, debuffs, will be shown outlined in red. The outline is also a timer of how much time is left on the status effect. Things such as auras will be seen here as well. Let's put a point into Luna's third skill here to see an example of an aura. Now let's look at the rest of the HUD, starting with the minimap. This is the minimap. This shows the entire map on a much more zoomed out scale. The little green trapezoid shape inside the minimap shows where your screen is currently positioned according to the whole map. Green dots show where friendly creeps are, and red dots show where the enemy creeps are. The larger squares are towers, and heroes are also shown according to color and direction they are facing. Let's walk over here so I can show you what that looks like. On the left, click Spawn Enemy, located here. Now, if you look at the minimap, the enemies are represented by a colored arrow in the direction they are facing, and your hero and your allies are also shown using a colored teardrop shape. Since we've already went over skills and hero level in our previous video, we'll just go over to the stat section here. This section shows your hero's stats, and if you hover over it, it gives you some additional information. We will go over these things in more detail in another video. At the end of your skills, there is an Aghanim's section. This section indicates whether or not your Aghanim scepter or shard has been purchased or consumed. This will be covered in another video along with all the other items, so check that one out. As you remember from the previous video, when you purchase an item from the shop, they are shown here. When you purchase an item from the shop, they first go into your main inventory here. As you run out of space in your main inventory, they go into your backpack, which are these slots here. Items in your backpack can be carried with you, but its effects will not be active until you put it into your main inventory. Next is your Town Portal Scroll slot. Town Portal Scrolls, also known as a TP scroll, allows you to teleport to any friendly structure after a 3-second channeling sequence. This channeling can be interrupted by some disables, so be careful when you use it. Also, the time it takes to channel can vary depending on the situation. Teleporting to an outpost will take an additional 3 seconds, and teleporting to the same structure a teammate just teleported to takes an additional 2 seconds, and all following teleports to that same structure take an additional 0.5 seconds afterward. The exception to this is when teleporting to the fountain, which always takes 3 seconds. To use it, you simply click the scroll or push T, then click either on the map or on the minimap. Then you will be teleported to the nearest structure to where you clicked. Last item slot is your neutral item slot. This slot can only be occupied by a neutral item, and only one can be used at a time. Any other neutral item will be automatically put into your backpack, but where you can hold it but not use it. Anytime you move an item from your backpack to your main inventory or neutral item slot, the item will be disabled for 6 seconds. Neutral items will also be covered in more detail in the items video. Moving on to basic controls. First basic control is attack moving. Previously we learned that right-clicking on the ground allowed you to move to a certain spot, and right-clicking on an enemy made you attack that enemy. Attack moving allows you to move to a spot and attack anything within range on the way to that spot. To attack move, simply push A on your keyboard and then left-click anywhere you'd like to move. Unlike right-clicking on the ground, your hero will immediately begin attacking anything that is within attack distance when you attack move. Let's try it out here with this enemy hero. Push A, then left-click, and your hero will begin to attack anything in its path. Let's try it out here with this enemy hero. This attack command can also be used for one slightly advanced mechanic. I'm going to teach you this. It's called denying. It is essentially the same as last hitting, but you must push A, then click a friendly creep. You can only attack friendly creeps when they are under 50% health, and by successfully denying a creep, the opposing player is guaranteed not to get any gold from that creep, as well as reduced experience gained. You know you successfully denied a creep by seeing the exclamation mark shown above after its death. This mechanic can create a large advantage for you and your team against enemy players. This can also be used on towers that are under 10% health, which will greatly reduce the amount of gold the enemy team receives for destroying a tower. The next basic control is stop. If you push S on your keyboard, your hero will immediately stop whatever it was doing, even if it was in the middle of its attack animation. Last basic control is courier control. This is your courier. This is designed to transport items around the map for you, but mainly to bring items from the base to you. In the demo mode, you are able to purchase items anywhere, but in an actual game, you are only able to purchase them from the shop. Couriers are controlled the same way regular heroes are, and have skills that are used to automatically perform common tasks. Couriers gain abilities as you gain levels. At level 4, it gains the ability to fly. At level 10, it gains the speed burst ability, and at level 20, it gains the shield ability. Other than these main basics, everything else would be using your hotkeys for spells and items rather than clicking them. This will ultimately make you a much better player and will improve your ability to cast spells more quickly or use items more quickly. That's it for this video, and subscribe to my channel to check out my other videos going into more detail about some of the concepts we talked about here. Feel free to leave any questions in the comments, and most importantly, share this video with your friends if you think it'll help them learn more about the game of Dota. Thanks, and good luck in your games!